if you're a Shedeur Sanders fan, right? Shedeur came out here against the Las Vegas Raiders. We said that they weren't a necessarily great team, right? They weren't necessarily the best team in the world. They're the same. They had the same record as you going into this game, 2-8. They got Max Crosby on the defensive side of the football. Their passing defense wasn't necessarily the greatest. Their rushing defense was pretty good. And I said this on Friday when we were previewing the game that if the Raiders take away the run game, a lot of the game plan is going to have to revolve around Shedeur. And he finished the game with 11 of 20 passing. He only threw the ball 20 times, right? But what we saw from Shedeur, and what I say that a lot of people who are in the pro Shedeur camp, it probably went as good as you could probably ask for if you're a pro Shedeur fan, is Shedeur showed you from last week against the Ravens when he went in, he looked overwhelmed. It looked like the game was sped up for him. He didn't look, comfortable at all in any single scenario, probably until the last drive of the game against the Ravens, right? He didn't look comfortable at all. Today or yesterday against the Raiders, he looked comfortable. It looked like the game slowed down for him a little bit. And it looked like all the reports about him preparing extra, getting extra work in, extra meetings with Stefanski, sitting by himself in the cafeteria with his iPad watching film, everything like that. That all looked like it paid dividends for Shedeur Sanders yesterday because we saw a lot of the mistakes tamped down. He only had 1 sack yesterday compared to I don't know how many against the Ravens. It seemed like there was like 6 or 7 sacks last week against the Ravens. He only had 1 sack, and that was because he tried to extend the play. He had a good pocket. He probably should have let go of the football. I don't know if anyone was open or not on that play, but he tried to run and escape to try and rush the football, but he's not that type of athlete, right? So again, that was like between that and then some of the, he had that one really bad interception where he threw it into double coverage. Outside of that, he looked like a very generic, average rookie. And that is a huge success for, Shedeur Sanders and for the Browns because if Shedeur Sanders looks like an average rookie, right, in his first start, if he just gets more reps, he's going to get a lot better. Now, to me, I think the Browns need to instill that into Shedeur's head that he's not a Patrick Mahomes. He cannot be this escapable, quarterback who's shifty in the pocket or whatever. He can move in the pocket, yes, but if they tell Shedeur and teach Shedeur to just be a lethal pocket passer, then I think he's going to be absolutely outstanding, right? That, to me, that is Shedeur Sanders' best strength, is if he is a pure pocket passer, if he just tries to eliminate most of this escapability stuff like you see with Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes can do that, right? Shedeur Sanders can't. He's not that type of athlete, right? But if he could just be a pure pocket passer, he could be lethal, man. He can be lethal. So that's what I see from Shedeur Sanders. I see a very, very good pocket passer. And if you just get more talent around the guy, I think the Browns could have some success with Shedeur Sanders being your quarterback. Now, again, going back to the reports about him preparing, everyone was saying like he was preparing for this game like it was his last, game ever and that his career depended upon this game, right? Shedeur Sanders has to bring that mindset and that intensity and training and preparation to every single game going forward if he's a starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, right? He has to do that. Going forward, this cannot be a one-off thing. And I don't have any, qualms or any, I don't expect him to just like, oh, well, I'm good now, so I don't need to prepare like this anymore, right? I think he's going to prepare like he did with the Raiders game. He needs to continue doing that in the future because to me, there's enough there with Shedeur Sanders to where you can see the ceiling is higher than Dillon Gabriel, right? Everyone said this before the season started, even before the draft process. Everybody knew Shedeur Sanders is better than Dillon Gabriel, right? The ceiling is higher for Dillon Gabriel, or the ceiling is higher for Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur needs to prepare like he prepared for the Raiders game every single week going forward if he's the starting quarterback. And he should be the starting quarterback going forward. There should not be any discussions with Kevin Stefanski or anybody that about Dylan Gabriel coming back in. And I said this, it's going to be tough for Kevin to give up on Dylan Gabriel, but Shedeur Sanders showed you yesterday that he's a lot better than Dylan Gabriel. I mean, the one throw to Isaiah Bond, rolling right, pressure coming in his face. I don't know if it was a cover zero or what. It was some blitz, but they got 2 or 3 guys rushing at Shedeur. He runs to his right, throws an absolute dart on the run, 50-plus yards, and drops it right into the bucket to Isaiah Bond. That we've not seen that from Flacco this year. We haven't seen that from Dylan Gabriel this year. Shedeur Sanders was the guy that can make that play. And if you're Kevin, you have to say that, I mean, no one else could do that. Nobody else could do that. Nobody else has done that for you. Dylan Gabriel couldn't do it. Joe Flacco couldn't do it this year for you. Shedeur Sanders is able to do that for you. But again, he's going to have to prepare every single week going forward like he prepared against the Raiders. And to me, I saw enough to say Shedeur Sanders should be the starting quarterback going forward. I saw enough of a sample size to get comfortable with the idea of giving him the rest of this season, because to me, you're going to have a big argument on your hands, or a big fight on your hands with Kevin Stefanski, who's going to want to put Dylan back in. And I don't know if you guys noticed this, but there was a report coming out, or not a report, a video that came out from the Browns Twitter account. And I'm not saying that Kevin never went up to Shedeur. I'm not saying that, but they didn't post a video or a picture of Kevin Stefanski going up and hugging Shedeur. They instead had a video of Andrew Berry going up to Shedeur, hugging him, talking to him in his ear when they were in the locker room after the game, which was very interesting to me, because to me, again, we all heard the reports and the rumors that Shedeur Sanders was Andrew Berry's pick, Dylan Gabriel was Kevin Stefanski's pick, and when you get a video of Andrew Berry going out there, and giving props to Shedeur Sanders in the locker room, that sort of lends credence to me that Andrew Berry may have been the one to pick Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round, after everyone thought that the Browns were done after picking Dylan Gabriel as the quarterback in the 3rd round. To me, that lends some more credence that Andrew Berry may have been the one to pick Shedeur in the 5th round. But also, I kind of wanted to get into this idea too about why Shedeur Sanders he's just so much more exciting, man. He makes the team so much more exciting. And to me, I don't know if you guys will agree with this or not, but Shedeur Sanders, we all knew going forward, he's a polarizing figure. He has this confidence, this swagger, this, innate, this confidence about him, right? And everyone either is put off by his overconfidence, they view him as egotistical, cocky, or other people say he's just very confident because he's good. To me, I see traits of Baker Mayfield in Shedeur Sanders. I see the cockiness. I see, the confidence in himself, the ability to pick everyone else around him because he's just such a confident guy, and he just brings, this feeling, this confidence in the locker room. To me, that reminds me of Baker. That reminds me of Baker. And I want to play you guys a clip, because if you guys probably have seen this, right? This clip from before the game started last night, where the CBS was doing this in their pregame interview before the game started. This lady from CBS asked Shedeur Sanders, how he's feeling about the game, and what he can do about Browns. What his message is to Browns fans and to the organization about his first NFL start.
What do you hope to show against this Raiders defense, your teammates, yourself, and these Browns fans with your play today?
I'm who they've been looking for. Appreciate it.
Like, does that not give you Baker Mayfield vibes? Does that not give you Baker Mayfield vibes? Like, to me, every single time I heard him speak yesterday, that felt like a it felt like a Baker Mayfield segment. It just felt like Baker Mayfield. I'm feeling dangerous. If anyone's going to turn that franchise around, it's going to be me. That's what Baker said during the combine, right? Shedeur says, I'm the guy they've been looking for. Like, to me, there's just this confidence that Shedeur brings that we have not seen since Baker. We have not seen his confidence from a quarterback, especially a rookie quarterback, since Baker Mayfield. And I just think that there is a lot of comparisons that you can make to Baker Mayfield. And again, I'm not saying Shedeur Sanders is going to be as good as Baker Mayfield. It's just one game. I'm not going to say Shedeur Sanders is going to be the greatest quarterback in Browns history. I'm not doing that, right? But to me, there's this confidence that he brings to the team that we haven't seen since Baker Mayfield. Remember Baker Mayfield? Baker Mayfield came in against the New York Jets after Tyrod Taylor went out with a concussion, right? And I said this last night in my video after the game. The similarities to Baker and their career starting is very, very, very eerily similar. They go out. It's a primetime game. 4:25 is considered primetime, right? Dylan Gabriel's out there. Everybody wanted to see Baker Mayfield in 2018. They didn't want to see Tyrod Taylor. Everybody wanted to see Shedeur Sanders. Nobody wanted to see Dylan Gabriel. Both Dylan Gabriel and Tyrod Taylor go out with concussions after playing, Dylan Gabriel played better than Tyrod Taylor did against the Jets, but they both go out with concussions, and in come Baker Mayfield, and in comes Shedeur Sanders. Now, Baker had a historic, electric, debut against the Jets on Thursday night. Sanders struggled against the Ravens, but then what was their first NFL starts? Against the Oakland Raiders for Baker Mayfield, and then against the Las Vegas Raiders for Shedeur Sanders. Again, to me, the it's just funny how the stars align that way for the Browns, because to me, those are the two most hyped up for the last 10 years. Those have been the two most hyped up, polarizing, electric rookie quarterbacks that have come to the franchise. You had Baker Mayfield, his first NFL start was on the road in Oakland, and Shedeur Sanders' first NFL start was on the road in Las Vegas against the Raiders. And again, it's funny to me how that lines up, because I see Baker Mayfield and Shedeur Sanders, not in skills, I don't see that, but in the way that they bring confidence to the team, in the way they bring swagger, and just their overall presence and aura that they bring to a franchise. That's what I see in Shedeur Sanders. Now, I think that you're going to have to give Shedeur Sanders the Baker Mayfield treatment, in which you're going to have to tell him, just like you had to tell Baker, you're not as good as Patrick Mahomes, but you're good in these areas, and if you just continue to work at these areas, you're going to be a very good quarterback and successful quarterback going forward in this league. And then, unfortunately, it didn't work out with Baker. Baker thought he was better than what he was. He had to go through those trials and tribulations until he wound up in Tampa Bay. And then we've seen what Tampa Bay and Baker have been doing ever since, right? Shedeur's going to have that same mindset, right? He's going to have to go through those same growing pains, right? He's going to have to figure out that he's not going to be as, this athlete that he thinks he is, in the NFL. He's not. So he's going to have, like I said, he's going to have to realize the best trait for him is his accuracy and his ability to be in the pocket. If they just improve him as a pocket passer, improve that offensive line and give him weapons, the Browns can be a very good team. I definitely think so. I almost said desperately think so. But to me, if they're able to just get that switch in him and just say, okay, you're not going to be able to scramble around the backfield. You cannot twist and turn out of sacks in the NFL. You're not going to be able to do that. But if we build the offensive line around you, we give you enough time, we get you enough, more weapons to work with at the wideout position, we think you can have success in this league. We do. That would be my message if I'm the Browns going forward to Shedeur Sanders and say, hey, if you get rid of the necessary sacks or unnecessary sacks, you work at your craft, you just work at being a pocket passer, then I think you're going to have success here. And I think that is the best path for success for Shedeur Sanders. And I think that they desperately need to try and do that, because you cannot go back to Dylan Gabriel. You just cannot. And we're going to go in the next segment where we're going to show you, or I'm going to show you, the people who are talking about Shedeur Sanders and the way that they describe Shedeur Sanders. You can't go back there. You can go back there. But I'm going to leave you guys one more clip from Shedeur Sanders at the press conference after the game, just to hammer down my point about the Baker Mayfield comparison. We'll get you. I just want to show you guys this viral clip that came out from the post-game press conference.
But there's no excuse. You got to go out there and perform. Like, there's no choice, there's no question. Nobody cares if this was 1 week of prep. Who cares? You know? So a lot of people want to see me fail, and it ain't going to happen. You know? It ain't going to happen. But there's no excuse.
I mean,
you got to go out there and perform.
Again, to me, the kid just has the confidence. He brings the confidence to the team. And like I said, we're going to show you later on in the next segment, his teammates are picking up on that confidence. And that's why Shedeur Sanders has to remain the starting quarterback going forward.